I want to give you a really important recommendation to take at dinner time to help you get into the most wonderful, deep, restorative sleep. Now, for years, I've suffered with a sleep problem. It pretty much started after basic training when I was forced to wake up at 4 o'clock every morning for 3 months. And after that, somehow my body was trained. I could not sleep past 4 o'clock for many years. So I would just go to bed early. But I was still only getting about 6 to 6.5 hours of sleep for years. And I would always just cope by napping and try to get more sleep. But it wasn't until I got 8 hours of consistent day after day sleep that I discovered for myself how important this sleep is. Now, if we dissect your sleep, we have several situations. We have people that can't get to sleep. There's people that get up through the night and have to urinate very frequently, sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome. Every single one of those problems I just mentioned can be resolved by this one remedy, and that is vitamin D. Usually, you cannot fix your sleep by taking regular amounts of vitamin D. In fact, if you look at some of the studies that don't show that vitamin D can help your sleep, they're just using very, very tiny amounts. People are concerned with the toxic effect of vitamin D, but there's a way to counter that very easily. Also, vitamin D can fix a lot of problems in your gut, believe it or not to mention all the different connections with vitamin D in your immune system. Vitamin D also works with magnesium. Those two are kind of partners in their ability to work together. And magnesium is behind all sorts of problems with cramping, heart palpitations, restless leg syndrome, higher levels of cortisol, which prevent your sleep. And a lot of people sleep better when they take magnesium before you go to sleep. But if you have restless leg syndrome or cramps and you're taking magnesium and it's not working, it could be because you need more vitamin D. And then we get into the powerful effect that vitamin D has with inflammation. It's one of the most powerful anti-inflammatories. And also, when you sleep better, your blood sugars will be better. If we take a look at all the things that can improve your health, we have diet, exercise, sleep. I think sleep is at the top of the list. You're basically the circadian rhythms of your body that's controlled by a little bundle of nerves deep in your brain in the hypothalamus. There's receptors for vitamin D in that nerve bundle. And this is why, for example, when you get jet lag and it throws off your rhythm, the antidote is vitamin D. An obese person needs 3 times as much vitamin D as a thin person because vitamin D gets diluted. The same thing with the diabetic. The same thing as you age. Now, if you get your vitamin D tested, and you can even buy these little kits that measure your vitamin D, and I'll put a link down below of the company that I use. I buy the kit, I measure my own vitamin D, and when you get the results, if it's below 40 nanograms per milliliter, you're going to have all sorts of issues. You need levels that are like 70, 80, 90, or even 100, or even a little bit more to create a therapeutic benefit. Vitamin D is not really a vitamin, it's a hormone. And so if you're focused on taking vitamin D to get the hormone to work better, realize that the type of vitamin D that they test in your blood is the inactive version. It doesn't really tell you conclusively if you're getting the vitamin D in the cells. There's a lot of people who have vitamin D resistance who need to take a lot more vitamin D to penetrate that resistance. I would recommend taking at least 30,000 IUs of vitamin D3 for a period of time to start to elevate the vitamin D that you need therapeutically to create an effect on your sleep. I take 50,000 IUs every single day. But this is very important. I drink at least 2.5 liters of water every single day to prevent any type of side effect from this toxicity, which is the calcium issue, calcium in the blood. That's really the only side effect. So if you just maybe cut down on the dairy and you drink more water and you take all the cofactors. So I always take vitamin D with vitamin K2, very important. That prevents the calcium from building up in the blood. And then I also take magnesium. I take zinc as a cofactor. I take vitamin B6 as a cofactor. Now, a couple additional things that I'm going to recommend. If you're trying to sleep, it's best to take that vitamin D with the cofactors at the last meal of the day. You're going to get more absorption that way. Now, some people that take vitamin D before bed, it wakes them up. And I really think it's because they're not taking the cofactors, magnesium, zinc, B6, K2. So I would make sure that the temperature of your room is slightly cooler. That seems to help me. I crack the window open. I would also make sure that about 2 hours before you go to sleep, you're not exposed to like your cell phones and bright lights. Start dimming down the room with the lights. Now, since this vitamin D toxicity idea comes up so often, you should probably get a little more information on that. And I created a video just for you. Check it out.